Whoever said that Halloween 1 and 2 were the only movies to pick up right where the last one left off? Hatchet 1, 2, and 3 did that, and so did... Phantasm 2. They definitely upped their game for this one. Welcome to day 9, the final day of my Scare Show 3, titled One Last Scare. Let us begin the plot. A number of years have passed since the incident at the end of the first movie. Reggie has a family now, and Mike is released from a psychiatric ward. The two of them are on their way home when a tragedy strikes. Now Reggie and Mike must make their way from town to town to track down the tall man and to save a girl named Liz that Mike has a psychic connection to. This is without a doubt a great sequel. 9 years later, they continue the story of part 1, and everything they add to this movie is glorious. I want to start off with the spheres, because they get an upgrade as well. There's a lot more bladed weapons that are protruding out of these things that can cause some awesome gory damage. No wonder they called one of the spheres Rambo while filming. They also added more bloodshed in this movie, but I'll get to that in a bit. The characters are what drive the story. The plot may be big in scope and handled well with its $3 million budget in place. However, the people are what make this movie whole. Reggie is a badass in this flick, as well as Mike. However, Reggie became what Ash Williams was in the Evil Dead series. A hero. I wish they brought Michael Baldwin back to play Mike again. James Lee Gross does a decent job. And he plays the character more or less like Baldwin did. The foul-mouthed and tough kid who's also really good with cars still dwells in the Mike character. And I'm glad Gross brought it to the screen. Angus Scrimm plays the tall man yet again. And his performance is as menacing as it was in the first. And he even gets more screen presence this time around. Again, this film cost $3 million, which was, at the time, the lowest budgeted Universal motion picture movie of the 80s, believe it or not. And it's 10 times larger than that of the budgets for the first movie. The creepiness factor is still here, though. The scenes in the abandoned towns and cemeteries are quite eerie. The mortuary and church sequences carry a unique vibe all their own. The gore, the effects, the spheres do some major damage. There's a scene where a rat is blown up, a ear is sliced off, brains are drilled in, and one even manages to invade someone's body and makes it all the way to their face, where it gets stuck in their teeth. Nasty. We also get some melted corpses. The slaves are much more grotesque this time around, and definitely add to the horrific touch to this horror movie. The musical score, it's the original music, with an 80s flair. I loved the fact that they kept the main theme prominent throughout the franchise. This sequel is almost as classic as the first. It is a superb sequel, don't get me wrong. It's more of a road trip movie for the majority of it. However, I had no problem with that. I think that it may not be classic material, but it's still just as entertaining as the first, and even more badass. I'd say that my gripes for this movie are that it is just not scary. It uses freaky scenes and gore instead of suspense and dread, like the first movie did. It is definitely popcorn entertainment at its best, and I still love this movie. Overall, I give Phantasm 2 a 4 out of 5. It is actually quite surprising that this movie even got made, what with all the studio interference. But for the most part, Don Coscarelli stuck to his guns, and we got a solid sequel as a result. Lion Brain Gatto, host of Horror Show Movie Reviews. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below, and leave comments and subscribe.